Joined on the phone today by comedian Rachel Feinstein. She has a new Netflix special, part of the Standups series on Netflix, and also coming to Minneapolis here in a couple weeks. Rachel, how you doing today?
Good. How's it going?
It's good. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. My mom used to make me say that to people when I left their house.
Well, if you don't really mean it, that's okay.
I mean, I do mean it this time. I don't think I meant it then.
All right, well, I appreciate that. Rachel, I know you got a new stand-up special for Netflix, part of the Standup series. Can you tell the listeners a bit about the new special?
So it's basically like I talk about my family, my fiance, like my life. Fiance is such a silly word, but you know what I mean. And I do impressions of people, so I impersonate people in the stories that I tell. And no one's mad at me yet, so I'm happy about that.
Are you thinking at some point you might cross a line and maybe alienate to some of the people in your act? Or?
My mom will be like, you know, Rachel, that was a bit much. She leaves me voicemail messages kind of like letters. She'll be like, Dearest Rachel, that was a little vulgar last night, but I did enjoy it. And then she'll say, please don't talk about me in your talent show tonight. But usually she likes it when I talk about her. I think most of the time, actually, if she comes to a show and I don't talk about her, she'll be like, where was I? So that's how she asks.
So you can't win either way then.
I guess not, yeah. If I do talk about her, she'll go, well, I'm not really like that. But I said something about how she wears long menopausal capes, and she goes, I don't wear menopausal capes. That's ridiculous. But she was wearing one as she was declaring that. But So if I don't talk about her, yeah, she misses it. So you're right, you can't win.
Well, it seems like Netflix really providing an opportunity for a lot of comedians now, a lot of stand-up specials, and it's a great outlet for comedians these days.
Yeah, Netflix is definitely where you want to be. Nobody's like watching TV like, hey, watch this at 10 o'clock on Friday. Nobody's sitting down except for my parents and doing that. So, you know, and the nice thing is it used to be when I promoted a special or something, it was all about, that night and making people turn their TVs on. And, you know, now people can see it whenever. So Netflix is just where you want to be, with stand-up especially. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you've obviously been making some real headway as of late, you know, with all the different stuff you've appeared in. And you know, how long have you been doing stand-up, I guess? What made you want to get into it?
I had no other skills. I wish I could have been one of those people that was like about to be a doctor, but then I left it all for the arts. But I was a terrible student, but I did know I wanted to do something with comedy. I didn't know I wanted to do stand-up per se, but I loved doing voices and imitating people and, you know, would get attention like that, good or bad, when I was young. So I had some fuzzy idea of doing that. And that mixed with the fact that I wasn't going to get into any college. I moved to New York with this guy in his band when I was 17. But it's funny how sometimes the dumbest decisions of your life can lead you to the best things. So that got me to New York. Just this foolish decision to move in with, you know, some ridiculous rock band. But but that got me to New York. And then I tried stand-up and loved it. So
awesome. Yeah, I assume that guy's band probably doesn't have their own Netflix special.
I don't think so. He wasn't that bad, except he would dump me a couple times after I got here. He would sort of dump me and then undump me and be like, well, maybe we can get back together. He kind of thought I was getting in the way of the band. The band didn't care for me either. I was like their Yoko. Like, they didn't want me around.
Well, I want to ask you how you feel, you know, women in comedy finally starting to be taken seriously, I guess you could say, you know, kind of seen as equals. You know, it took a long time for that to happen, but it seems like it's finally getting there now.
Mm-hmm. When I first did, sorry, I'm sipping coffee. When I first did my first half-hour special on Comedy Central, I think, I can't remember what year that was, but I think it was maybe 2010. But they, you know, I think there was like one woman a season then, you know, and if they had a woman. But it would be like, you know, it was a real boys' network. over there and in other places too. And they would say to you on shows, they'd be like, "Oh, we can't have a woman on. We just had a woman," like as if it was redundant to put two women back to back. I mean, people still say that, but they'd just be like, "Oh no, we can't." Like, and they don't say it impolitely. Like they don't realize how ludicrous that is. You know, that like, why wouldn't we have completely different acts and states of mind? But they're just like, "Oh, we just had a woman. I'm sorry. You know, we have to put somebody else in between." So that used to be more widely said. People still say that sometimes, but I also do think it's gotten, much better. A lot of that is because of Schumer, and she changed Comedy Central completely, you know, with her show and the success of her show. Sure. So, but just, you know, a lot of Nikki Glazer and Bridget Everett and Lorena Franklin. There's just all these women that were so funny that people really couldn't, you know, they were too good. But I do think it's changed a lot, and half of the Netflix specials are female, so it's changed dramatically.
Well, with that being said, who were some of your influences? I guess some of your favorites growing up, were they mostly women as well, or?
No, women and men. I loved Lucille Ball when I was really little. My mom would play me those like old Lucille Ball stuff, and I really loved it. I loved Seinfeld and Elaine on Seinfeld, and Tracy Ullman when I was in elementary school. So those are some of the women that I loved. I also love Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Todd Barry, Dave Attell. So those were some of the people that I loved listening to. And Janine Garofalo. It was just cool to have these examples when you were younger of like, oh, she's funny and she does things a little differently. Maybe I can too. You know, like sure. Maybe there's a place for me. So those kind of examples were so important, like especially in high school, like watching Janine Garofalo or Sarah Silverman and thinking like, oh, okay, you know, you can be weird and dark and people will like you.
Definitely. Well, again, you have the Netflix special, part of the stand-up series. And Rachel, I know you got a couple shows coming up here in Minnesota here in the next couple weeks.
Yes, I do. I'm very excited about that. Love Minnesota. And, I'm going to be touring a bit in the next couple months, so that'll be fun. And it's nice to have this special over now, so there's not as much pressure. So I can just, you know, play around and try new stuff. And, so I'm excited.
It seems like, people who have never been to Minnesota maybe think of us like that movie Fargo, but we seem like we're kind of becoming a bit of a comedy capital in a way as far as stand-up goes.
Yeah, they're known to be really good crowds in Minnesota, and very, there's just different places where you get comics talk about the crowds are good, and that's one of them. Because they're just they're known to be like smart and they get stuff but they don't heckle. They're not like rude audiences. They're known to be great comedy audiences. So it's nice going there.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to seeing you. And I know the special's out. You're on tour. Anything else maybe in the works or something upcoming?
What's coming up next? I'm working on a pilot, but we'll see what. I mean, I'll talk about that more next time I come out. I'm just. Right now that the special's done, just kind of writing and working on projects like that. Yeah, so, but you can go to my website at rachel-feinstein.com. It has all my touring dates and whatever's next. I just did Conan, so that's now up on YouTube. Or you can go to the the TBS website for that.
Excellent. Again, Rachel, I'm a fan of yours, and I'm looking forward to seeing you here soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And again, that was comedian Rachel Feinstein. See her new stand-up special for Netflix, part of the Standup series. And also, she'll be coming to Minneapolis here soon. So get all the details at her website, rachel-feinstein.com. We'll be back after this.